Hi, this is Art Dahlstrom. I'm doing a draft of my presentation for Ars Electronica Fuckup Night. Let me share my screen. Let's see. Here we are. Okay. So I'm Eric Dahlstrom, astronomer and space engineer. I work for NASA on space station design. And now I'm working on developing entrepreneurial space communities around the world, starting in New Zealand. So I have three stories to tell you. I'll start with when I was in astronomy. I was mapping the galaxy in radio astronomy using a 300-foot telescope in West Virginia. It's 91 meters diameter, 23 stories tall. In the data, I noticed this bump, small excess of something high above our galaxy. And so I basically ignore it. I just see it as a small error in the data. Well, it turns out that it's a invisible galaxy, maybe 10 billion solar mass, a companion to our galaxy, and it may be a clue for dark matter. It seems to be almost invisible. So I don't know what we're going to learn about this invisible galaxy, but whatever it is, I didn't discover it. So the lesson is to pay attention to the small errors. They may be new discoveries. As sort of a revenge, the telescope collapsed a few years later. One lesson they learned is don't melt snow with jet engines on steel structures. Next, in 1986, I traveled with a woman companion to Austria, which during the Cold War was serving as a meeting ground between the East and West. And one side note is we had very different assumptions about the relationship. I learned the lesson: don't go on a honeymoon on your first date. But anyway, we continue on to Prague at the invitation of our communist hosts, and where we talk with the scientists and engineers there for proposing that a shuttle visit the Russian Mir space station. And the end result for that is that Czech and Russian intelligence put pressure on me to say that I've already made a step too far, that the CIA is watching. And I do learn when I get back to Washington, D.C., that the FBI had been monitoring me in the woods around the Czech embassy. And I have interviews and FBI file. And all this ends up with playing a role in blocking my astronaut application. But the astronauts that are selected a few years later are on a space shuttle to visit the Russian Mir space station. So even if the idea is right, the timing may not be right. That was my lesson. Then I start to get involved with learning lessons from the Challenger accident, working on a NASA lessons learned report. Of course, the immediate cause was the rubber O-rings fail at cold temperatures, but certainly there was a lot of political pressure and management pressure to launch and suppress bad news. And one aspect of that was even poor graphics playing a role in suppressing or obscuring the risks of launching in cold weather. So I work on the lessons learned report for NASA. And I also spent a year studying the 2,807 ways you can blow up a space shuttle in the first 6 seconds. We come up with the answers for our calculations of saying that on average a shuttle will fail every 78 missions, and NASA doesn't like that answer. And so both of these reports are suppressed by NASA. They want to cover up the lessons learned, which astounded me, and also cover up the risk of another accident. And so I ended up leaking both these reports to Congress and the press. But and these days I have the only remaining copies of these reports. But one lesson is that you can fail individually, but to really fuck things up, you need a bureaucracy. And just by coincidence, after with our 78 mission warning, 78 missions later, the Columbia accident happens. Foam strike breaks the wing, but the lesson is sometimes you don't want to be right. So that's my 3 stories for lessons of errors, big and small, and I think I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.